because that's what we have time for. So task number 1, gather photos and documents that matter to you. Number 2, write a story. Write a paragraph. I'm going to share a secret with you that's something that's not so secret. I don't know of an easier way to journal than writing about a photograph. A lot of times, a blank piece of paper can frustrate people because it's blank. Well, if you have a photo, you already can see things and remember, and maybe even remember how things smelled just from a photo. So, if you're sad that you haven't journaled your whole life, that's fine. Choose 5 things that have happened to you over the course of your life, and if you can find a photo about them, just write about a photo. I have 5 kids. On Sundays, when everybody's treating each other well, we will journal. And the way I have them journal is they go into their Family Search accounts, those that are old enough, and we go into Google Photos that plugs into Family Search, and we have them pick photos that they like, that happened to them recently, and they choose a couple, and then I say, okay, let's write about the photos. The great thing is that it doesn't take a long time, and the other great thing is that they're learning how to type, which is great. And it's not thumb typing, right? It's actual typing with all 10 fingers. So write about a photo. It's the easiest way to journal. Task number 3, record your voice. We've showed several examples of this. If you can get a photo and you can write about the photo, wonderful. If you want to go into Family Search, now you can talk about the photo. Plug in some earbuds or a way to record your voice. Sometimes you'll see the laptops that just have, it'll tell you where the speaker is. Just put your mouth right over the speaker and talk about the photo. And try not to talk for 30 minutes. Try to talk for a few minutes. And don't get overwhelmed. My grandpa did the long version, right, with the audio cassettes and filled up a lot of stuff. But there are pieces of that we just cannot recreate at all. And no obituary communicates what he did in it like his own voice does. So, gather photos and stories. Write your stories. Record your voice. Task number 4, preserve your information for free forever on Family Search. Put it into Family Search. Family Search is like a filing cabinet that's in your garage that you somehow still keep because it makes you feel good. And the documents you put in there are fireproof, right? Family Search is kind of like a filing cabinet. Put the things in there that you don't want to lose and that you want to keep. You don't have to put everything you've ever done. My mom saved like my drawings from 3rd grade of airplanes and ships. I don't really need all that stuff, but I might take a photo of a few of those things. So put it into Family Search so you can keep it. The other thing that's nice if you put it here is back to the tombstone example. If you can put this information into Family Search, then if you go and you visit a tombstone, or you go somewhere, maybe you go to the town where your dad's from, or your mom's from, something like that, you can take your family with you. And then you can pull your phone out, and you can listen to the pig song, or you can listen to the World War II story, wherever you are. The goal is that you can take your family with you. And if you put it into Family Search, you can pull that into your mobile app, and you can interact with your family in all kinds of different ways. So that's the goal. I mentioned this, but I just want to show you where it is. Something Family Search always tries to ask is, how do we make this easier for people? And some of you might laugh because you're like, you keep asking that question. Because there's a lot of things that can be difficult. So because lots of people put their photos on Facebook and Instagram and Google Photos, we've just built a way in Family Search where you can sign in and you go into your gallery and you just click on one of these, and then it'll ask you to sign in to Facebook. Once you sign in, it'll show you all your photos, and you can just click on the ones to pull in. I don't think you need to pull in everything, but just choose a couple photos that mean something to you, pull those photos into Family Search, and then you can talk about them with an audio file, you can write about them, you can do whatever you like. Again, trying to make things easier. We're always trying to ask that question, how do we make this easier? So a question oftentimes we have is, how does the family tree handle living people? So I'm going to show you something that's kind of hard to read, but the simple answer is this. You can see, and only you can see, what you add about living people. If you add living people into the tree, you're the only person that can see that, right? So the fine print says it in kind of a longer way, but living people, if you add those people into the tree, you see that information, not everyone else, right? So people ask all the time, I have a photo of a reunion with 60 people, but not all of them are dead. You can still upload that, I promise. Because that many people, that many times identified, is a great treasure. You don't only have to put stuff into Family Search about people who have passed. You can, it's great, there's a lot of stuff in there, but remember you, and remember your family, and remember your kids. You can put information about living people into the tree. So I'm going to share just a couple of things that our family has done to make some memories of me, but of our family. So this is my family, and we have 5 kids, and all of them are boys except 4 of them. Meaning we have a boy at the very end, and he's 4 years old. But there's a family story in my family, on my dad's side, that when we tell people about it, they just give us the weirdest face. Because people will often ask, hey, what's your family doing for Christmas? What do you guys do for Christmas dinner? And our daughters, I love it when the kids answer, because they say, oh, our family for Christmas dinner, we have chili and grape juice. Doesn't that sound great? Isn't that like the best combination? Well, it's a story that's been passed down in our family for many, many years. And we don't know all of the details about why it started. We just know that a couple generations ago, a family had in that line for Christmas, whether or not they didn't have a lot of money that year, they just had, we don't know, they had chili and grape juice, and that was their tradition. Well, that has stuck, just like grape juice sticks to the kitchen floor. And our family recreates that. And it's weird, and people are like, oh, I'm glad I'm not having Christmas dinner with you guys. But the great thing is that it's who we are, and it's a great memory, and our kids love it. And another cool part of the story is that the records, the stories that were kept said that they had it by candlelight. So we like to turn our lights off, and we have it by candlelight, chili and grape juice. I won't play you the audio recording because it just sounds like chaos, so I'm not going to play that. Something that's more recent. Last year, we took a big family trip up to Seattle, up the Pacific Northwest, and had a great time. So we made a memory, and we tried to have our kids talk about what happened at San Francisco. Because, I don't know if you can tell, it was really, really, really windy that day. And our son, there's a place you can kind of go underground and see some of this old, it's a kind of an army barracks, kind of a battery. And he went down the stairs, and he came back up and almost was blown over. And he was really, really young. But rather than me just talking about that photo, we grabbed a microphone, and we tried to let all of the kids talk about it. And hopefully this one will come through. Okay, so here's the audio.
One of the first stops we made on our trip this summer was to San Francisco to see the Golden Gate Bridge.
It was so windy up there, we lost our hats and almost fell. I lost my flip-flop and I almost got carried away by the wind. We like to take pictures in the wind.
It was very busy there that day.
Jensen came up out of being protected from the wind, and he said,
All that.
it was hilarious.
Okay, let me show you one other. This is our daughter. She's a cutie. She's much older than that now. But when she was young, she would sing these really, really funny songs. And so it's not snorting and it's not a pig song, but this is the duck song. So I'll play you the duck song.
Little ducks that are one's two. That one's skinny, one fair, one's two. But the one little duck with the feather one's back. He let the others with a quack, quack, quack. Quack, quack, quack. Quack, quack, quack. He let the others with a quack, quack, quack. Down to the river they will go. Wibble wobble, to and fro. But the one little duck with the feather on his back. He let the others with a quack, quack, quack. Quack, quack, quack. Quack, quack, quack. He let the others with a quack, quack, quack.
Isn't that great? I have no idea why she's in such a hurry when she's singing that song, because she's not running, but we just laugh every time about these big breaths she takes. Well, she was a lot younger then. But I'll make you a promise. If you don't record your kids when they're young, they will not talk like this. And if you wait till they're old, that's fine. But if you have grandkids, if you have kids, whatever, and they're young, and you want to hear them sing a song, or you want to hear them, our son just read the other day, 3 Billy Goats Gruff. And he didn't read it, he just told it how he remembered my wife reading it to him. But it's funny, and we can never recreate that, because he's going to grow up and like other things. So if you have ways to record people, if you can record kids, record them. There's nothing that will say, oh, kid recording, not allowed at Family Search. It will not come up. You can record your memories that are you. And if you don't get them when they're young, they're going to grow up. So we have tech today that makes this super, super easy. And what we did with her is we said, hey, sweetie, why don't you sing your song? And we just went to her in the app and clicked that huge button, remember? And then she started singing her song, and we were able to preserve that for her. Now, if we had more time, I'd actually go into a lot more detail on this article, but if you haven't read this, or it's one that's commonly referred to at Roots Tech. It's called The Stories That Bind Us. It's from the New York Times. Bruce Failer he was actually here at Roots Tech, and he just does a great article about why family is important. And they go through and they do all these studies, and Emory University has done a lot to talk about how important stories are for kids. And part of their findings say, the ones who know a lot about their families tend to do better when they face challenges. Yep, I agree. That's why you can't only tell the good things that have happened. That's why I love that story about my grandpa, because for him, that was not something that was super easy. I don't know what that would feel like to have somebody demanding his money and swinging things. That must have been really, really hard. But he made the right choice, and we can too. Something else it says in there, it talks about something called a do you know scale. And it's basically something you can do at the dinner table. Do you know where your parents were born? Do you know how your parents met? Do you know where your grandparents are from? What cities is your family from? And there's just all these questions, they're do you know questions. And they did this scale, and the do you know scale turned out to be the best single predictor of the children's emotional health and happiness. You can go to the parade and take this quiz that's related to this article as well. But study after study that they've done say that kids who know more about their family history are the ones that handle stress the best. And I think we're just living in more and more of a stressful world. So we could use the stories of our families to get through the stress and these challenges that we face. With all the technology that's out there, sometimes it's just nice at the dinner table to tell stories. On Sunday nights, I think one of the favorite things that our kids love to do is they just love to look at old photos, and they like to look at videos when they're little. And they always want to look, we have this video from our trip up by the Redwoods where we were out playing in the waves, and our fourth daughter, the wave's a little too big and it knocks her over. And she doesn't wash out to sea, pick her up and we save her. But her sisters love watching their sister get knocked over by the wave. And she watches it like this. But the rest of the sisters, it's just a great memory. So if you store your memories and your photos and your audio and all of those things, share them now. And help our kids in the next generation understand how to cope with these challenges.